Peter Pan is it's going to be an arena production, which is going to be mounted in the big cities all around the world. And I have produced Peter Pan already twice in a theater setting, and every time we were confronted with the idea of having a Peter Pan who is quite an intimate story, but on the other hand, all the elements for bigger spaces are there. It's lots about flying, and flying from the reality world toward London towards the dream world in Neverland. And so it was my wish to make a production which was much bigger in a sense as spectacular. But on the other hand, we need all the poetic elements to be in there as well. And so we started thinking about how can we combine this filmic approach with the musical idea of having people singing in a production and still having a live movie. And so that's where we came up with Le Petit as a designer, because he is used to filling big spaces, and he does that in a very magical way. He's one of the people who has been helping Franco Dragoni and Cirque du Soleil quite a few times. So he knows this, taking care of those spaces.
Je pense que si Gert Allard est venu me chercher, c'est qu'il a vu plusieurs de mes spectacles dans lesquels j'ai en général introduit les gens dans justement cette magie, cette féerie. Donc évidemment, s'il me l'a demandé, c'est parce qu'il sait que je vais pouvoir, à mon avis, y arriver et donner à ce Peter Pan tout à fait une autre image qu'un Peter Pan traditionnel, qu'un Peter Pan de théâtre. Il voulait vraiment qu'on rentre dans un univers imaginaire. Et ce qui est en général ma force, je pense, c'est de pouvoir créer ces univers, avoir ces idées qui sortent de mon esprit et faire rentrer le public dans cet imaginaire. Bon, ça vient évidemment avec la musique, ça vient avec les décors. Et ici, on va travailler avec beaucoup de projections, puisqu'on a tout de suite fait une technique nouvelle qui est du mapping vidéo. Donc on aura une grande bibliothèque qui va se changer avec la projection. Donc on sera plongé comme dans un film 3D, sans lunettes, comme le spectateur, et on sera vraiment plongé là-dedans. C'est une partie importante du spectacle, parce que tous les décors vont changer uniquement grâce à la projection. Ce qui est intéressant dans Peter Pan, c'est justement le fait que ça révèle en nous notre enfance, ça révèle en nous nos peurs, notre envie de voler, notre envie d'aimer, toutes ces choses-là. Même si on a 60 ans, eh bien, ça va nous rappeler tout ça. Et ça, c'est ce qui est intéressant, c'est ce que je crois que John Barry a réussi à faire dans cette histoire, c'est que chaque tableau nous rappelle quelque chose. Si vous êtes un adulte, si vous êtes un enfant, eh bien, c'est tout ce que vous avez envie de faire quand vous êtes enfant. Parce que Peter Pan, c'est très dur. C'est pas un monde magique imaginaire, la Neverland. C'est un monde où on se bat, où on s'attaque, où il y a plein de méchanceté, où on tue des gens. Donc, c'est un peu ce que quand on est enfant, on veut se battre, on veut être pirate, et en même temps, on veut aussi voler, on veut quitter ses parents aussi, donc on veut s'envoler. Donc, il y a tout ça dans cette histoire. Donc, elle s'adresse à des enfants de 5-6 ans avec leur envie, ou 15 ans, ou les adolescents. Par exemple, Neverland, c'est peut-être aussi intéressant, c'est peut-être un peu loin, mais Neverland, c'est peut-être des adolescents qui veulent, par exemple, se droguer. Et Neverland, c'est un monde très dur. Et on pense que la drogue, par exemple, elle va nous sortir du monde réel. C'est un monde beaucoup plus dur. Et je crois que c'est peut-être des comparaisons un peu lointaines, mais un adolescent pourrait s'y retrouver là-dedans. On peut rêver d'un autre monde, mais cet autre monde, il est extrêmement difficile aussi. Et peut-être de temps en temps, c'est bien de revenir à la réalité. Donc je crois que c'est un texte qu'on peut voir de façon différente, que vous ayez 5 ans, 17 ans ou 60 ans.
On the other hand, we have the one who has done Moulin Rouge, who has arranged all the music of that movie. He also did Black Swan and lots of other movies. And he's the one who is going to integrate 15 well-known songs, hits, into the rest of the music. So we'll have a 100 minutes of music, and people will all the time have the sense and the knowledge of the songs coming into that part of the story. It has to be the right songs with the right wording at the right moment, of course. But the blending is going to be taken care of by Matt Dunkley.
My job will be to work with the songs that we choose. We're going to choose established songs, and the idea is that I bring a new slant to them, give them a new, fresh arrangements, and somehow make that work in the narrative. We're using it's quite an original way of using songs, that we're using the narrative from existing songs, the lyrics from existing songs, to advance the narrative of the show. And my job is to tie all that in musically so that the songs all kind of gel together and it doesn't feel like 14 or 15 separate songs, but it feels like it was written for this particular production. And then I have to compose linking music using maybe some thematic material from some of the songs, and just to keep it all woven in together so we have like a creative arc to the whole story. How do I put the magic of Peter Pan into my music? Well, I mean, you know, there's obvious things that Tinkerbell, you know, you use orchestrally, you'd use something tinkly, you know. I think really it's more that, you know, having seen the set designs and the concept, which is a big arena concept, I think the magic will be just creating big, broad, symphonic arrangements, cinematic arrangements, if you like, to fill the space acoustically, as well as, you know, how the visuals will be filling the space visually. And it's so that there's not a mismatch between the two, so that my music is as big as that and works in the, you know, the whole concept of Peter Pan and Netherland and all that, and, you know, with orchestral colours and techniques, and the songs themselves will suggest certain timbres. I think that will be achievable.
We have also Matt Biffa, that's the person who is responsible for the choosing and the clearance of the rights of all the songs.
I predominantly work in feature films, but my thing really is and always has been finding songs. So I work creatively with the director to come up with songs that work, and then at the same time as that I will then work to clear the song. And that can sometimes have an impact on your creative choices, because inevitably there are some songs that just won't clear, or difficult estates, difficult writers, all this kind of stuff. So you have to sort of bear those two things in mind when sort of pitching the songs. But the aim is to come up with a cohesive set of pieces that really sort of drive the whole thing forward, if necessary. Songs do lots of things, you know. I mean, we're right at the beginning of the process, you know, so we literally have a synopsis. But it's a question of working with Luke and, you know, and Matt Dunkley as well, everybody in the creative team, to just isolate the key areas in each sort of chapter, if you like, and then come up with 2 or 3 choices which work creatively. As I say, I mean, a song has to do lots of different things sometimes. Sometimes it has to drive narrative forward. Sometimes it has to sort of help bring a character out. Sometimes it just has to do the job of explaining a situation. So what we'll do is that we will literally just sort of go through it piece by piece, and then I'll come up with suggestions based on that. And, I mean, I think, hopefully, these next 2 days, I would like to walk away with about 5, 6, 7 songs ready to clear.
What we need, of course, is somebody who makes the lines, the text, and that's our Geert Boekhart. He's the one who's making lots of texts right now, and the more that the story is going to be told through costumes and visualizations, the more we can skip his lines. So that's a constant battle between the text writer and all of the rest of the creative team to make it happen and to make it visual very understandable.
I'm in the business of storytelling, so what I'll do here mainly is ask questions, challenge the team to tell the story in the best possible way by means of asking questions. Is this the best way to tell the story in this particular scene? Maybe there is a better way, suggest alternatives. And work out the whole story with the whole team, because of course it's a story that contains very different elements. There is a sort of musical element, there are songs that are supposed to advance the story as well, that are part of the narrative. There's the visual aspect, the spectacle, there is a theatrical filmic aspect with the projections, and there is a narrator voice, so also the choice of the best narrator to tell this story and the way to tell this story in a fresh way. That's all sort of my business. it's a great story in itself. I think it's probably one of the best or most wonderful stories ever told. It's in itself an ode to storytelling, to fantasy, to magic. So I think that is a very important aspect of the whole story. So what I would like to try to do is to to focus exactly on this aspect, to present it as an ode to storytelling, and to tell with this story how important it is, as the author did, to tell stories and to keep telling stories and to pass on stories from one to another, and an ode to imagination, to fantasy.
And of course, our own Belgian Kaat Tilly. She's taking care of the costumes. When you see Kaat, when you know Kaat, then you know it. It's one big fairy. It's all poetry, and that's what you're going to see in the performance, in the show, in the costumes, of course.
The challenge is to make the three-dimensional in a bigger but very characterical way. It's good to bring the dream to reality. It's good to live a little bit between heaven and earth, and to take it with you and to live with it in reality.
Of course, it all comes down to telling a story coming from the books. That's one of the main themes which you will see in the production. And on the other hand, it's all about flying, and the flying will be all around in the most miraculous ways.
It's going to be killer, basically. No, yeah, I mean, I normally work in feature films, which is quite a different sort of discipline. So it will be very interesting for me to work in this kind of medium, and also because it's such an immediate. It's an immediate thing, isn't it? Live work, you know, and you're playing to a very big audience, not only in terms of the size of the audience, but the age range. You know, 7 to 70, I think Geert was saying, which is a pretty difficult thing. But I mean, I've got some good ideas already, you know, and we're going to be going through those this afternoon.
It's a team. It's a family already now, and you can have small egos, but not big egos. Because big egos take it all to them and the rest has to follow. Whereas here this one team, it's one family, all willing to work together at one magic dream, and this story hopefully will never end.
Well, I think the fascinating thing about this is the scale, really. I mean, you know, Peter Pan there's been hundreds of productions of Peter Pan. I mean, you know, I'm from the UK, and there's every Christmas we have pantomime, and there's 50 productions of Peter Pan in theatres around the country. The difference in this is the kind of epic scale and the fabulous design. You know, the whole concept of the books and the projections and everything moving. And I mean, it is truly unique. And you know, they've got this great main thing where the flying is flying without wings. You know, flying without wires. They actually are flying in a huge wind turbine, which will be, you know, an incredible spectacle, I'm sure. So I think it is a unique thing. I don't think anybody's done it quite like this before, and yeah, with a kind of very big musical score behind it, hopefully it will be a huge hit.
It's not going to be easy, but you know, I'm up for the challenge, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited and slightly scared as well, because I think before you actually get started on a project, you know, you're promising all these grand things, and the concept is fabulous. And I've literally just been into the arena to see the space that we're going to premiere in, and it's like, okay, this is for real now. So yeah, very excited, and I just want to get going, get to work.
It'll be really interesting to see that new twist that Luke's going to put on it, and also the scale of it. I mean, I just went into the arena. It's colossal, and when you actually see the stage and you see it in context like that, it's a bit frightening actually. But I mean, it's going to be enormous, you know. So that in itself, you know, will be quite something.
There's no way back now. Huh? So this is how we started. We made some promises today, and now we have to make them true. Huh? So that's a bit of stress, but on the other hand, it's also positive. It's positive stress. It stimulates to really get into it now and to go for it.
No, I think it's going to be really good.